Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Saturday. Good to see
Hey.
y'all.
Uh,
It's a it's a holiday weekend. Patricia wasn't even aware, but it is Memorial Weekend. I know, right?
another day.
Just another Saturday. But what we wanted to say just out of the gate was how grateful we are for the attention and the time that people have spent with this masterclass series that Patricia and I have put together. It started with Reframing Relapse, which talked a lot about the concepts behind reframing and looking at a relapse as a powerful, important moment for us to dig deeper.
Yes.
We choose,
Not the end, but the
not the
beginning.
end, but the absolutely, it is messy. It is a part of the messy middle, but it is a beautiful opportunity to reflect. And then we talked about opening Pandora's box, which I was so proud of everyone for going into that space because that can be just in itself, the name can be very, I don't know what the best word is, charged, maybe scary. Opening Pandora's box is a concept that we put together that involves such deep hope and an opportunity to, as again, reflect on the underlying things that are going on for us. We do not have a food problem. Food is our solution to the underlying reasons that we need that substance. It's a coping mechanism. And what we want to go through today is something called post-traumatic growth. And from these perspectives, we'll be able to give you some really interesting opportunities to reflect. We encourage you to use the chat thread when something lights up for you or when you find something interesting. And we would also like for you to really open up to the possibility that you are not broken, but you are actually you've found some amazing coping mechanisms, and now you're going to figure out how to shift out of those and find something else that will support you in a much better way. So I'd like to share my screen right now. And as I mentioned, post-traumatic growth, excuse me, trans excuse me, transforming food struggles into wisdom is what we're going to be talking about today. And before we get started, for those of you who don't know who we are, Patricia, would you like to talk a bit about yourself for a moment?
Okay. I have, like you, have been on this journey probably a lot of your life, if not all of it. And the last 10 years, I have, with the work that I have done before, and in these 10 years, have come to understand how to be abstinent for myself and how to deal with issues that are coming up, and that food, the main thing is it's not a food problem. I thought I have a food problem, and realizing, oh no, there's something in that I'm handling or not handling that's causing me to go to food to get numb. Anyway, so going through all of those, I've been able to keep my weight down these last 10 years. And I am a life coach. I am an empowerment. I got my training through David Gershon and Gail Straub, and I am a certified life coach. I also do some coaching for Everett Considine in his IFS programs and his programs on food and parts work. And yeah, I really think of going up in my helicopter and seeing what am I learning? What's bringing me to go deeper, even though I just want it done. I just want it done and never have to have it again. I have embraced finding out what's really going on underneath all this and how to do that and really enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. You and I first met in person at one of the reunions for the food plan that you and I both started with. It has been just transformational for me. I started my journey of complete abstinence, if you will. I don't know. I hate those phrases, but I released ultra processed garbage in November of 2016. And I have a long history of needing to find a solution that couldn't be found in the typical medical system. I believe very strongly that our systems are impacted by what we put in this thing right here. If we can make these shifts, when I was, I don't know, 50, I'm 66 now. So 16 years ago, I recognized that if I made changes to my food, I would heal myself, and I got rid of my asthma. As I have gone through this process myself, I do have extensive training. I worked in telecommunications for quite a long while and established myself in the corporate world. I handled all the fiber for Southern California. If you know anything about telecom, that was a big deal. The point I'm trying to make about all of this is that I've been so successful in my professional career, but I could not figure out why I could not stop eating until I started looking at and pulling apart and looking at the weavings and recognizing all of the different things and the different reasons. I did make huge changes in my food when I recognized the importance of how that was affecting me physically. My asthma was off the charts, and I made these huge changes that have impacted me forever. So why is it, and I kept asking myself this question, why is it I can make these changes when I'm literally about to die from not being able to breathe, but I can't seem to make them in my normal life when things are fine and things are comfortable? And I found over this time that this research that I've done over the last 15 years, this research has been phenomenal and important. And I keep peeling away this. I like to look at it as a peony petal or a dahlia opening and exploding into more information, more reasons why. And today we're working on something that I had first explored back, I don't know how many years ago now. It would have been 5 or 6 years ago. I explored the concept of post-traumatic growth, and I recognized my own positivity and my own ability to reframe, which I consider a superpower. So we're going to be talking today about all of these concepts. But before we get started, one of the important things is, go ahead, Patricia. This is our vegetable soup moment.
Yeah, we are a big pot of vegetable soup, and all vegetables are welcome. So I'd love for you to go into your body, mentally, of course, and come up with a word with what you are feeling in this moment. What am I feeling in this moment? No wrong answers. And put it in the chat for us to get. And there's no wrong answers. How are you feeling in this moment? Anticipation. Tracy's energized. Also anticipation from Rosemary. Teresa's calm. Tightly coiled. Peaceful. Let's see. Proofing or crisp, tender. Okay, that's interesting, Darrell. We'll have to go into that at some point. Contentment. Tired, but anticipating. Open and hopeful. Nervous. Very interested. Tired. Hopeful. Comfy. Joyful. I'm excited because this is a very rich day today that we're going to go over some things and all about hope, all about hopefulness.
And an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to grow. That's
What if,
beautiful.
what if nothing's wrong? What if you've been brought to this spot for your own understanding of more that you hadn't understood, but are willing to go there?
The interesting part about this concept of our that we feel very important for is this is an opportunity right now in this moment for you to do a body scan, to pause. Pausing in itself pulls you out of your trigger and trauma and situations and pulls you back into using your complete brain, where you can make a decision based on all of the body scan and the question. You can make these things happen once you pause. And that's why we help with reminding us, can we take a minute? Can we just take a minute and do a body scan? And that's what you just did.
Yeah.
It's
What's my body? Where am I in my body in this moment?
exactly. So the definition of post-traumatic growth is basically of 5 domains. There are 5 domains that are important, and I'll show this to you in a moment. But we wanted to consider turning your perfect storm that sometimes feels like you can't pull out of it, like the hurricane that you're in or the tornado that you're watching swirl around you. Turning your perfect storm into wisdom and being able to look at the actual things that are happening to you in that moment and to say, I wonder what is underlying this.
Yeah.
We're about to explore something truly transformational. Patricia and I both were really pleased with how this slide deck pulled out. So I've been working really hard on it. So here's the thing. Those coping habits, they're actually packed with wisdom. When life gets chaotic and throws stuff we can't control, I call that SWCC, our way, we adapt to survive. Today, we'll uncover how these very patterns are actually treasure maps to profound growth.
Yeah. What if nothing's wrong? Because we've always condemned ourselves for interpreting going off our food, for instance, as something's wrong with us. What if nothing's wrong? What if you're being directed to go deeper?
This is a psychological perspective. Positive psychology has a huge part in creating this concept that is post traumatic growth. There are 5 different domains. There's personal strength, close relationships, greater appreciation for life, new possibilities, and spiritual development. It's from coping with something, dealing with it, gripping the steering wheel, and feeling, okay, I can handle this. I can handle this. Some of us, I went for 2 years gripping the steering wheel, feeling like abstinence was, if I didn't have abstinence, I would have this, I had this abject fear that I was going to spiral down and gain all my weight back and more, because it's happened over and over again in my lifetime. When we can release the grip of the steering wheel, and believe me, that's a scary thing. When we can release the grip of the steering wheel, we open ourselves up to possibility. There's a reason that we felt we needed to. That's a part of our growth. But when we can release it, that's the place where our post-traumatic growth can happen. There's a resiliency associated with gripping that steering wheel and keeping things as rigid as possible. But post-traumatic growth isn't just about bouncing back after an issue or a situation or a circumstance. It's about bouncing forward. It's like upgrading your operating system after a crash, not just restarting. Those are well-worn paths to the fridge. We know what those are like. There's a habit we form, and that habit, which happens to be in a different part of our brain than our triggers and traumas, God bless us. These are complicated things that we're talking about here, because that's why it's so hard to break the cycle of food dysfunction. Those well-worn paths to the fridge are a signpost that could point to some of your deepest needs.
Yeah.
Your perfect storm, that nasty inner critic, God bless us, we hear that so often. The isolation that happens with food dysfunction and that panicky aloneness that we feel, where we feel like you could be in a crowd of people and feel alone. Sarah Payton calls it alarmed aloneness. I love that phrase so much because it makes so much sense to me. I know we've all felt that. These can be the very things that transform you. So hold on to your hats, everybody. Yep, Daryl actually has one on. Thank you.
So,
Thoughts here. Okay, I just want to mention how clever I am with these pictures today. I'm so proud of this picture I found. This is Om, the symbol Om, which I know we all understand. If we've spent any time regretting how many times we didn't meditate, we think, oh, all I'll do is sit and say Om and I'll be better. This is an ohm with dots. Okay. So we're connecting the invisible dots and uncovering what your urges are really telling you.
The
The,
hidden,
go
no,
ahead. No, go ahead.
the hidden connection with what our urges are really telling you. Most of us never connect our sudden urges to eat with what's going on in our lives in the moment or yesterday or what we are afraid tomorrow will bring. The desire to eat often appears out of nowhere, but it's actually precisely timed. What's really happening, that urge before an important meeting, your strength is being called forth. That pull towards the kitchen when feeling stuck, maybe your creative potential wants expression. That automatic reach when feeling misunderstood, your need for true connection is speaking. That sudden craving during overwhelm, your senses are asking for different stimulation. That emptiness that seems only food can fill, your deeper purpose is calling. So these are revealing these situations that we've all been in. Maybe there's a revelation here that these urges aren't random hungers, they're signposts to your growth.
Your personal map, learning to decode these signals reveals your unique path forward. I love detective fiction, and I love this whole idea of actually looking back in not with regret, but with curiosity over. So every one of us can flash on some time when we were either ankle deep or maybe shoulder deep in the food, or we're thinking about it so much we're completely distracted. We can all feel that. We all know that. And I can tell you that there are many reasons we go to food, and that's why. And it covers so much of our brain. It's a very big challenge, but it's not insurmountable. And every time you whittle away at something or figure out why you do what you do and find another coping mechanism, every time you do that, you're turning down the noise of the cravings. You're releasing the energy that it took to resist and allowing it to be used in someplace positive. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the 5 different domains, as I mentioned, the first one is personal strength. When you're spending all of your time gripping the steering wheel, guess what happens? Your energy is depleted. And by 3 in the afternoon, you're wondering, where's my solace? I need something. Personal strength, from comfort seeking to inner resilience. The times we reach for comfort reveal exactly where we feel vulnerable. Plot twist: these vulnerable spots hold our greatest strength potential. And a question to ponder: what strength is hiding in your comfort seeking moments? What strength is hiding? Can you think of why you might be so quick to grab something in that particular moment? We're going to go over a few here on this next slide to give you some ideas. And we'd love it if you'd put some, yeah, that's me, or put something in the chat thread that makes sense. Do you want to start with this, Patricia?
Yeah. Personal strength deeper dive, because that's what we are here to do, a deeper dive. Excuse me. When you need comfort, the hidden strength in your coping. What if there's something in there that's you're meant to divulge to yourself? When you need comfort before difficult conversations, right? Oh, I'm going to have this difficult conversation. I'm not even thinking about it, but all I know is I want to eat. Your body is actually telling you this matters. You've got something important to say. When you need soothing after a brutal day, if you can recognize that you deserve care, you just haven't learned how to give it to yourself in another way. That's where food has served you in the past, but it's not serving anymore. When you're scrambling for quick relief between crazy tasks, you know you're running on empty. You just need better way to refuel. I just need to refuel. These are the kinds of things we say to ourselves when we're running in between those crazy scramblings. The light bulb moment, those times you reach for comfort, that's exactly when your inner badass is trying to show up. There's something there, there's gold in there. Often we get critical. Something's wrong with us. Here I go again. Why do I do it? I'll never get over this. When we're stuck in that critical mind, we can't release it. The only thing that's going to make us feel better is to stuff food down, we feel. But what if we're looking at it as these patterns are something I'm going to have the opportunity to learn and become unstoppable when I do, as I do, because you're never done. It keeps on coming.
The interesting part for me around this is the concept of personal strength. We have mindlessly maybe done some things in the past that we didn't even associate. And I need you to remember we started these things probably in the womb. I did. My mom stress ate. I know she did. She told me she was anxious about having her first baby, right? What if that personal strength is there? It's just clouded and pushed over by this normal coping mechanisms that we've had. Each one of you has released and strengthened yourself already. You wouldn't be here if you didn't get this thing. You have been working on this. Each one of you has been. And maybe the aspects of this kind of environment might be exactly what you need in order to unlock the other reasons or turn down the volume on the other reasons that you're going to food, to amplify your celebrations, to get excited about what you've already done. Consider that when you're looking at these 5 domains.
Yeah.
The second one is on new possibilities. This is hope personified. I get goosebumps just looking. I love this picture for one, but I get goosebumps just thinking about possibilities. Instead of dread, instead of worry about who I am if I'm not thinking about food, who am I? How do I handle a celebration now that I don't like this stuff anymore? I don't want this stuff anymore. How do I handle celebrations? How do I deal with weddings and funerals and births? Imagine the mental space currently filled with food thoughts. Imagine that. I know we all understand it, not to mention the food fog that happens with ultra processed garbage, but now picture that space filled with creativity and presence and possibility. I know you're already feeling it at some points. I know it's happening for you because you wouldn't want it more. I remember the first time I felt the peace associated with the abstinence. It was just like, it was like a beautiful waterfall that was coming down on me and washing away all the crap, washing away. And I felt such peace and grounded balance. I wanted more of that. That's what I kept wanting. And that's why I kept coming back. And that's why I kept digging deeper. And that's what this is all about. What becomes possible when your mind isn't busy with food?
And Cecily has just recognized something from just us going over this right now, a pattern that she hadn't seen before. Thank you, Cecily. Yeah, Cecily. And oh, yeah, that critical mind, Durrell says, oh, yeah, we have thought that being critical of ourselves was what we were doing to shape ourselves up. That is not correct. That's beating ourselves down and gravitating towards something to shut our minds down. We need to notice when we're being critical. Just notice it. You don't have to even do anything and just go, oh, look what I just said to myself. That was really critical.
There's so much around the peeling back. I guess onion is the best way, but I like to think of it as a peony petal opening up or a dahlia opening up. And it just feels like the petals are going to continue and continue to open up. But every time there's a little bit of opening, it leads to living. It allows you an open in a more beautiful space. Vibrant living is not positive, it's all things. Living vibrantly allows you to handle the icky, if you will, the fire swamp that is going to come up. And it allows you to not feel like you need to brace for the next one. When you avoid making tough decisions, God, I know how this one is. You're actually feeling the thrill and terror of what could be possible. Because once you decide, that's it, right? You're taking that path. Sometimes people do have to struggle with making tough decisions for that very reason. When you put off things that matter, procrastination, maybe you don't want to go outside and walk in the sunshine. Maybe it's something as simple as that. But it's pulling on you and creating this negative feeling that, oh my gosh, I can't do the simplest of things. Deep down, that thing is actually really important to you, and you get to look at that more deeply. This is a procrastination on crack concept. We all know what that feels like. When you zone out, hoping your brain will clear, your mind is literally starving for focus and clarity. So you see how we're doing these turnarounds? Patricia and I spend all of the course on turnarounds.
It's
Every
how you're looking at things. It's not, it's how you're looking at what's going on for you, what you're saying to yourself about it.
and what you're believing about what you're hearing in your head. That's all a concept of turnarounds. Do I have to look at it this way? Can I question this as true? When boredom sends you looking for something, anything, your creative soul is dying to come out and play. I'm telling you, boredom is a really interesting area. Boredom for me is a real challenge. I'll grab from my phone, I'll start a video game, I'll scroll, I'll doom scroll, I'll something rather than sit quietly. And that's an interesting spot for me because it's the most creative space. That's where your creativity comes out, from boredom. Almost half your mental energy might be stuck on repeat with worry thoughts. Think about that. Think about the energy that comes from just worrying about what might happen. The stuff you avoid by coping, we're talking about using food or thinking about using food. That's a coping mechanism that we have found that has kept us alive and allowed us to focus on raising children or a busy career or busy relationships or caregiving for others. That stuff we avoid by coping is usually what our heart wants most. And there may be aspects of ourselves, we may be telling ourselves we're not good enough, so we don't deserve that thing. That's why this is so complicated. And that's why it's so important. Just imagine having more hope in your life. Just imagine living a hopeful life and what that does for yourself and for the people around you.
And you can't have hope when you're looking at what's wrong with your life, when you're just telling yourself how bad you are, how wrong you are, how there's no hope for you. And I like Donna's having an aha moment where she's just realizing, bringing what you're saying here, Sonia, to realizing she wants to go outside, but she's using her dog, her aging dog, as a reason to stay in. And also, before Donna said, I love thinking about this as my own detective story.
Hmm?
That's a turnaround. That's a beautiful turnaround. What if there's pieces of puzzles that I'm being drawn to look at?
Think about the excitement when you solve a puzzle in a book you're reading, watching a television show where you solve that puzzle. There's an excitement to it. I started reading detective fiction when I was 3. So I kind of annoy people sometimes when I'm watching a movie with someone else because I'll solve it early. Sometimes I'll get it. And that will annoy that will annoy everyone in the room. Yeah. So I guess what I want to say about this is that this possibility, the hope area, is a big deal for me because it can pull you along with these other areas that we're talking about here. We've got some beautiful comments in the chat thread.
That's people are getting awakened and seeing this. They're what you're doing is you're doing your own turnarounds here. That's what's happening. And feel the excitement inside of you when that happens. Oh my God, If I stopped avoidance and worried, I would clear up half of my mental energy to invest in other areas of my life. Mind blown. Yeah, that's what we're here for, to work through this. It's not, okay, now I am not avoiding anything and I'm going to look at it. It's not that easy, but it is a process and a practice that we can do to accomplish exactly that, Lori.
There are, as we mentioned, there's this concept. We like to look at different ways to approach these topics. A, because they're so complicated. B, because they're an opportunity. When you can look at something, you might hear the same thing over again and again, but when you hear it in this perspective, this might be exactly what you need, right? This might be we each have different preferences on color and what is your favorite weather, even where we live. We all have different aspects around that. But when you can see this through this lens, that's why we talk about these things in many different ways to allow people to have these epiphanies. Epiphanies are beautiful and they can be life changing. This could be a very big life changing moment when you can see, wow, half my energy is being used on worry. Think about it. Are you going to pause next time and wonder, is this a worry? Is this something I need to use energy for? The third domain is relationships. From solo coping to real connection. We use food to manage the messiness of human relationships. How many of us just, I just remember everything. My grandmother was my first drug pusher. She would walk we would come into the house after a 2-hour trip from Winona, Minnesota up to St. Paul. Everybody that lives in Minnesota knows what I'm talking about. She would walk out of the kitchen holding 2 big trays of food. That was her love language. That was how she coped with the world. And she knew she was taking all sorts of time and energy and love to put into that. That's one of the hardest things that I had to shift is how to show the people that I love them if I don't bring them food. It was a huge early lesson that I learned from my grandmother. We use food to manage the messiness of human relationships, the freedom that comes when we risk being seen as we truly are. My grandmother saw the food and thought, well, that's who I am. That's not who she was. She was a complicated, beautiful woman who had many talents, and that's what we want to focus on instead. But how might real connection change your need to self soothe? When you can let go of the idea that I have to somehow change in order to be with these people. I can't show my true self. I need to be slightly different or maybe a lot different because I don't like this about myself. I don't feel comfortable with this. My excess skin is still a thing. I have a lot of it. I released 170 pounds. Guess what? That skin didn't go away. I get to decide, is that going to be a factor? Am I going to wear shorts? Do I get to release that? Is that a part of who I really am? Is that my definition of me? No, that's not who I am. That's not who I am.
Relationships deeper dive from going it alone to actually being seen. Ooh, scary. When you shut down, instead of saying what you need, your needs are totally valid. You just haven't felt safe expressing them. When you need comfort after a fight, you're looking for the soothing that healthy relationships should provide. When you prep for social stuff by soothing first, anyone have that? You're managing that very human, please let me belong feeling. When coping becomes your safest relationship, you've created what human connections haven't been able to give you. The connection, how to cope often mirrors how people treated you early on. So we keep bringing it forward into our lives. And we have evidence to point to. And the breakthrough, every time you cope, there's a relationship skill waiting to be learned, just building on our understanding and our connection.
Feeling like you belong. Thank you, Daryl, for saying this. Belonging is huge for me. The idea that, as Teresa says, a beautiful, complicated woman with many talents, that was my grandmother. I also know that she came from everyone called her a bastard because as a woman who was born in 1932, no, 1927, something, I don't know, it was early. It was a long time ago. Yeah, my mother was born in 36. So it had to have been a long time before that. Doesn't matter. Point I'm trying to make is that my grandmother was born from her mother was 16 and her father was a Swedish minister. You tell me what actually happened there. She spent her entire life, she had brothers and sisters. She took care of all of them. She was the oldest. She took care of all of them. And she did to the day that she died. She was out there taking care of her family. It was all she knew. And it was the way that she felt like she could fit in. She never felt like she belonged. She never felt like she belonged because everyone consistently reminded her that she was the bastard child. And that was the time. And we have learned from that. I grew up with that. That was on me. That was ancestral stuff that got pulled onto me. And it's up to me to decide if I'm going to keep that or if I'm going to let it go. We all know circumstances where our parents believed these things and were terrified for us. These relationships that started with that kind of pain and trauma are deep and rich, and they can be beautiful. I consider my grandmother one of the most powerful figures in my upbringing, and yet she was beautifully complicated. Thinking about these relationships that you are with, and I'm talking about like this group, for instance, today. Do you feel comfortable sharing something here in this group? You may not know anyone. You may not feel like you should even be on camera. But I want you to hear that we are all here for the same reason. We are all different and we all have different histories. But here together, we all know that food is our common denominator. Food is the reason we're all here. And we can figure these things out and have these breakthroughs and recognize I don't need to fit in. I'm going to allow my shadow parts their space, the parts that I don't necessarily feel the most comfortable with. I want to allow them the light of day. When we look at appreciation for life, this is gratitude. This is gratitude.
We have to notice, look at what I'm saying over and over. Oh, this is this, that always happens. Da, da, da. And if we can hear ourselves do it, if we can notice and step back and say, what could I say that would show some gratitude that I have? And without going, nothing, I have nothing to be grateful for. If we can go, okay, that's just my critical voice. Is there something I can feel appreciation for? Like in this moment, presently, I'm with a group of people that are working their best to work through their own issues. That's a beautiful, appreciative thing that we're doing in this moment now.
I just want to say a couple of things. I'm getting teary eyed here. Lori says coping night food numbing is a coping skill that tells me there is a relationship skill waiting to be learned equals loneliness. Yes. Who will care for and nurture and comfort me? That loneliness and searching for that relationship is terrorizing. Yes. Yes.
So, oh, sorry, go ahead,
Oh, no,
Sonia.
I was just going to say, can you look at the screen for a minute? I'm going to change my view so I can see everyone. I just want you to see the faces here. How many understand the loneliness that you feel at night? How many understand that? When you can see this, you aren't alone right now because all these people see this. They all feel it. There's a connection that we can't avoid when we're in a group like this, when we recognize this. There's a connection. And that's so important.
Yeah, I just want to, oh, I keep it.
I just wanted to read Rosemary's. I might not be able to do it without crying. I was like your grandmother, right down to being the bastard child, the oldest and taking care of everyone else. At 74, still feeling it. Rosemary, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, tears. Although embarrassing, I still get embarrassed when I get teary eyed, but it is important. And this is a part of me belonging. Rather than feeling I need to be the empowered, strong, solid one here, I'm a teacher and I can still get emotional about these things. It is still so important. Yep. Cheryl says coping with food became and has been my safest relationship to the exclusion of people. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, there's this whole concept called unconditional contracts that we have specifically with certain substances. This isn't food generally that we grab a hold of. Okay. These are substances that are unconditionally supportive. They are every single time we have them, they give us the same gift. We never doubt them. We never are worried that they're going to betray us. Those substances are constant and consistent. That unconditional love I know that sounds weird, but you know what I'm talking about. Every time you have that substance, you can feel it. Yeah, go ahead, Patricia.
Yeah, I want to go back to Lori's statement here because there's something really interesting in this for us to see. Coping with food numbing is a coping skill that tells me there's a relationships waiting to be learned equals loneliness. Who will care for and nurture and comfort me? That loneliness and searching for that relationship is terrorizing. So, how can we go forward in relationships if it's terrorizing for me to go? We can't. We're protecting ourselves by not going. The very thing we want most is the very thing we work hardest avoiding. I'm not saying that as to point out what's wrong with you. No, nothing's wrong with you. So that is a really great thing to see that this is what I want. I want somebody to care and nurture. And it's terrorizing the thought of it. You see how we protect ourselves. And when we're in that and feeling that terror, what's our go-to that we've always gone to? Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And Cecily says, I've been the caretaker since I had my first child at barely 17. Cannot get out of this mode. I want to add in until now.
So far.
Yep. I don't know who I am without caretaking people, animals, even so many plants. I don't know what you're talking about, Cecily.
That's what's being called forth, Cecily. And you don't have to do it now. I'm just saying we evolve into it. That's what we're talking about. And how do we do that? How do we do that?
Yeah. Yeah. And the idea of caretaking has so many layers to it. First of all, it's a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful gift, and it should not be vilified at all. But there's an aspect of it that if we're taking care of other people, we don't have to look inside.
Yeah.
If we're taking care of all of these others, then we don't have to think about what's going on inside of us. It's a beautiful gift, and it is caretaking in itself is a coping mechanism. Absolutely. And there are ways to adjust it and shift it. And that's what our work is. Teresa says, I'm guilty of avoiding people that hurt me. Oh, that's a big one. When someone comes into my life that, I don't know, contrary or challenging or difficult or painful or toxic, that's an opportunity for me to look and say, I wonder what the universe is trying to tell me today.
What's that triggering in me?
Hmm?
What is that bringing up for me? It's yes, they did it. But what am I experiencing here? That's the it's mining for gold. There's gold in there.
It is. And that's the turnaround in itself. Instead of being afraid to look at these things, or instead, just the awareness that you all have been sharing here, just that awareness is the opening of the door.
And doing it alone is so hard. Look what's happening as we do it together.
Hmm?
It's happening.
All right.
We're only on the fourth. We have 5 domains. Literally on the
But we're
porch.
getting there. We're getting there.
Oh no, we did this. Didn't we do this appreciation?
Yes, I started to talking about gratitude. I think we got through it all. We're going to just assume we did. So, the appreciation of life deeper dive, checking out, we all know what that feels like to actually being present, being here. That's a whole mindfulness, self compassion, Kristen Neff, all of the work that is about sitting in the now, the present moment, meditation, appreciating where you are right now in this moment is great. That's a great thing. But there's also life that we have to live. I know someone's got somebody's daughter marrying in a couple more days, and there's a little bit of planning ahead for a wedding. There's a little bit of planning maybe for this weekend. We need to look at the future. We need to be able to plan our food. We need to be able to figure out where we're going to have these things and how we're going to do them. So there's a reality associated with this, but this deeper appreciation for life, of being able to be present in this moment, is a gift that you can increase and improve on. When comfort is your main source of good feelings, think about this. Where is your joy coming from? And if your joy is coming when you have a delectable carrot, good for you. When your joy is coming from that ultra processed garbage because you are seriously not sure anything else is bringing you happiness right now in your life, that's an opportunity. But that joy is focused in that one place where we've been used to going. I'm 66 years old. I started this in the womb. What do you think? Do you think I've got an opportunity to shift and look at things differently? I remember specifically taking a walk and a banana slug was walking across the walk. You know, banana slugs, they're not fast. And I'm so concerned that there's a lot of bikers and a lot of walkers, and I didn't want someone to miss it. Banana slugs blend into a walkway. I stood there and waited, and I still get delight thinking about that moment. I stood there and waited to protect the banana slug as he walked across the path. And it probably took 15 minutes. If you take 15 minutes a day, that's all you need to find that joy. That energizes you. This is an actual willpower replenisher that energizes you and allows you to have that deep, sad moment that may or may not come ahead.
I want to pull apart here in a good way what Christine is talking about here. Now that I turn to food for comfort less often, I find myself turning to catastrophic thoughts. Yeah, because you're not numbing.
Yes.
So here come the thoughts. Preparing for my daughter's wedding has been a race from one catastrophic thought to another. And here's the drum roll. Sharing it is a relief. Sharing it is a relief. Nobody has to say, it'll be fine, Christine. Everything's going to work out okay. We needed to get the gunk out of us.
Yes.
Just have a safe place to say this. I'm noticing I'm thinking of more catastrophic thoughts since I haven't been getting numb so much. And oh, I feel better just having released that.
I do.
Absolutely. And the other thing that's really interesting, what you said, Patricia, we're not giving people advice. Okay. I need you all to hear this. Resonance is a step that we have all skipped often. We do want to help fix other people. That's part of caregiving and caretaking, I should say. That's a part of caregiving when we can give people what we think is advice, but what you're telling them when you give them advice is you're actually telling them where they are right now. We don't like you where you are. We want you to go over here. That feels more comfortable for me. But when you can sit with someone, when you can accompany them, when you can be with Christine in these challenging moments where you are not going to food, that's amazing. You're not going to food at this really challenging time. And so we need to give you accolades and celebration. And we also get to accompany you when the emotions that we've been numbing and using for food and coping for so long are not being used there. And so things are louder. Things are louder. It's a challenge. But when we can accompany someone, that is strength for us as well.
Yeah.
Then we can know, okay, I can sit with Christine's uncomfortability. I think that's a word. We can sit with Christine. We don't need to change her. And by sitting with you, it allows you the relief. That's what is it? When you remove a little bit of the pressure that's inside of something by pressure valve relief. I know I'm so technical about this mechanical stuff. Come on, Daryl, you can tell me what it is. But a pressure relief, that's what you're doing when you give someone the gift of resonance. And that's one of the main topics. That's one of our cornerstones in our course, is teaching people resonance rather than advice giving.
Yeah, we don't know how, we haven't been taught that. We've been taught to fix it. I'm uncomfortable. Let me fix it for you.
Yep. Yeah. Think about that. Your coping routines are the best part of your day. If that's the thing you remember, there's two parts to that. First, that may very well be true, but you can change it. But you can also recognize that there are a whole lot of other parts in our day. We're just so hyper focused on the food business. There are a whole lot of other things happening in our day. There's the gift of a smile. There's the delight of a banana slug. Okay, Google it if you don't know what a banana slug looks like. They're pretty cool.
They're beautiful. Oh, and that's why they're called a slug.
I know. I know, my little cartoon brain. The same brain that craves comfort can find incredible beauty literally everywhere. That is your gift. It's just been hyper focused.
You haven't built that muscle. You
Just
build in your life a muscle of looking at everything in a way that is not serving you. There's other ways you can be in the same situation and look at it in a different way.
Cheryl says, I think when you are giving someone resonance, you are also learning to be present with your own uncomfortable emotions. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a courage associated with resonance that gets underplayed sometimes. To be able to sit with someone and allow their challenging emotions, especially if you have a sensitivity and an empath ability, if you can sense, and if maybe that's one of the reasons you go to food. If you can sit with someone, you're allowing that uncomfortableness, you're allowing the discomfort. That's a better word. Thank you. You're allowing, I like the extended words though. I really do. Uncomfortableness. Okay. You're allowing the discomfort to be okay.
That gave Daryl such joy. So you have to wait.
I know. The practice, when you bring that same attention to life, everything becomes more vivid and alive. Now, there are some of you that look at this picture and say, oh my gosh, I want to scrub her face. Okay. All right. But there are also some, I just thought, wow, this is creative. I can't imagine me ever having this look, but it felt like such an expansive view and way beyond. So I wanted to thank you all, the appreciation of life. Now, the fifth domain, spiritual and existential, is basically the expansiveness, right? The spirit. This is a challenging topic. Patricia does a really good job of explaining it. Do you want to go into this, Patricia?
It's, you are in there. You always were in there, but we were pushed down by not having acceptance when we were younger of various things, right? So we thought something's wrong with us. And we had to improve ourselves because we weren't accepted as we were. So has to be something's wrong, and we have to be looking for what's wrong because to be safe before they catch it, I'm going to catch it. When we can move through these things little by little, piece by piece, we uncover our own wisdom, our own nature that's inside us, always has been, always will be. We're just not using it because it's covered over with a lot of silt that we put in there. That can be undone, and that's connecting to my own inner strength and inner wisdom. And often, when something like what Christine did today, that she talked about opening up and saying she's catastrophizing, releasing that helps uncover, oh, yeah, wait a minute. I know I can handle this. Her own wisdom will come through when we get rid of some of this stuff. Our own wisdom can shine through because that's where we're going. We're going to our authentic self so that we can be there for us, for ourselves. We don't even know how to tap into it. We're in our heads all the time talking about what's wrong and looking at all the evidence of what is wrong. So, this fifth domain is really where we're all trying to do all this work to get to so that we can be there for ourselves and that we can be there for others, not in a codependent, caretaking way, but in a way of spreading the wealth and giving what we've learned, which gives us back what we've learned more. So
Find,
how, okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
finding meaning in the struggle itself, the idea that this is my thing. This is my thing that I am working on for this lifetime. When I was 12 years old, I was watching the Summer Olympics and Nadia Comaneci, some of you remember her. And all I
Yes.
could think was, oh my God, my life is over. Look at all she's accomplished. And she was my age at the time. Look at all she has accomplished. And I'm sitting here in my basement watching TV. How many times have we gone through and said, wow, I should have done this? Or critique our decisions or lack of decisions and determined my life is over. There's no point. What's the point? How many times do we go there? Can you release that idea? I feel like I've come into my true calling. But in order to get here, I had to have weighed over 300 pounds for decades. I had to be there and go through that in order to be here now. Can you release the guilt and shame and judgment? That's not an easy thing to do. And it's layered, as we've mentioned. It's all these different areas. There's habits that we form. There are triggers and traumas associated with why we eat. There is willpower depletion and energy from all of the work that we're doing. Those are just three different reasons that are actually three different parts of the brain. That's why this is so complicated. That's just three of them, guys.
Maria says it's too late, in quotes. I don't know if you're saying that to yourself or they're thoughts that you think. The thoughts that we think are all affirmations. If it's too late for me, it's too late for me.
Which is an unconscious limiting belief. And that's, I'm certain, knowing Maria as well as I do, that's the quote that she's hearing in her head, but isn't true.
We all have some form of this. It's too late for me.
Yep.
Everything can be turned around. We have to be, all we need is to be willing to look at it in another way. I don't have to have the other way to look at it yet. I don't know how else I can look at it. I just have to be willing to be open to find another way to look at it. That's where a turnaround comes out of.
Daryl says, can I release the thoughts day after day? Absolutely. That's our work. That's what we get to do. We get to question, wait a minute, that's a thought that came through. Is that like a cloud that just passed around? Is that an idea that my brain put together? Our brains are storytellers. Is that something that our brains just decided to put out there for us, and we connected some disparate dots, and all of a sudden we're believing all of these things that are coming into our head?
Here it is. Here it is again. Okay, I'm just going to notice it, step back. How can I look at this in another way? I don't have to know how to look at it in another way. I have to ask for another way to look at it to come through my creative center.
I want to make sure we're checking cognizant of the time because it's very important for me. This is a weekend. This spiritual existential deeper dive concept is about these feelings are our inner compass pointing toward what's missing. We're filling a void with food, literally. We're stuffing food into that void. The more reasons we can have, the more our whys are stronger than our need to stuff down. The more we want to be present instead of numbing, the more opportunities we have to find our inner compass. And that can be scary. And that's why community, trusted connection is so important. The way you seek comfort shows exactly what would make your life feel meaningful. I hope this is a little mind-blowing for y'all, because I loved this perspective. Patricia and I have been working together for years, and this is a fresh new perspective that we're loving. And so when you think about your personal growth roadmap, your specific coping patterns aren't random. They're your customized growth blueprint. You could be taking notes on what's going on in your day. It doesn't have to be actually stuffing your face. It can be just a thought about food, and that gives you an opportunity. It could be an intense craving that you're avoiding. It's an opportunity. The domains that light up most for you show where your greatest transformation potential lies. So there's 5 of them that we've talked about. And the question to take home, which of these domains feels most alive for you right now? These patterns have helped you survive. I am so grateful that this was my way of coping. I'm so grateful I figured this out. And I'm so grateful that it wasn't something else. This is my journey for this lifetime. And these patterns have helped me survive. They deserve respect, not vilification, even as you grow beyond them. Can you actually go to one of your coping mechanisms and thank it and release it? Can you do that? Maybe not now, but think about the gift of that. That substance has always been vilified and toxic. It's just a substance. But it was a huge and important coping mechanism that allowed for me to get through to where I am today. I have much stronger awareness and much more gratitude for these substances because I've gotten through to the other side of it. The fire swamp, if you like the Princess Bride, which I do. I adore the Princess Bride. So Patricia and I have given you 3 master: reframing, relapse, opening Pandora's box, and now this 3rd one, post-traumatic growth. And what we wanted to show in this slide, for all these different domains, new possibilities, personal strength, appreciation of life, relationships, and spiritual and existential, all of these, underneath here are the names of the classes within the Art of Recovery course that we're offering. This is where we're diving deeper. A 30-day gummy is not going to solve your problems. A quick course in something is not going to solve. What we work toward is turning down the volume, releasing the idea that this is an easy thing. It's not easy, and it's lifelong. If you think you're going to forget at some point and not have any more cravings, I want to open up the grief bucket and give you some tissue. And I'm not trying to be ironic about this. It's really important for you to recognize that this is not an easy thing to solve. That's why there have been many attempts. I don't know how many times I've gained and lost. I didn't ever bother to calculate it, but it feels like 1,000 pounds gained and lost over my lifetime. Those were all important parts of my journey. I needed to do that. There is no quick fix, but every time I gained and lost and gained back more, I learned something. And
Yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Life throws curveballs at you. It's not like you're going to now get to a place that you're never going to have an issue anymore. Presence in life we have sickness, we have deaths, we have stresses, we don't get along with family sometimes. There's all these things that are going to come up. How can we be coming from our center and our own wisdom through it is what we're looking to do. How do we handle it when things come up, not to have to flop back into there's no hope.
The 4 cornerstones that Patricia and I believe so strongly in are noticing. That's your pause, and there's 1,000 reasons why noticing is important. The second is resonance, being able to accompany yourself as well as others. Trusted community and connection is the third. Extremely important. We are not supposed to do these things alone. Humans are not solitary beings, but we have created a system of isolating, especially during the shame, judgment, and guilt that we feel when we eat. And then we establish more patterns around that. I don't want to show people how awful I am or how bad I am. Guess what? We're all in this boat. And the fourth is practice. You cannot change your neural pathways, release just the habits, just the 10 p.m. feeding. That is a habit that requires practice to shift. The traumas and triggers associated with eating, another way, that requires practice to recognize that neural pathway. I need to name this emotion that's coming up for me that I'm eating over because I don't want to feel it. That takes practice. Willpower depletion requires trusted community and connection to give and support to others so that you can replenish your willpower, and even recognizing that your willpower depleted. That's just 3 ways. We'd like to take a minute for you to do the noticing. Tell us what's going on in your body right now. One word.
Yeah, what's a word? What's an emotion, a feeling that's coming up for you as we conclude being in this class together? What is a word that's coming up for you in this moment? No wrong answers. Goosebumpy, relief and gratitude, clearing, soupy, deepening, overwhelm, fear, relief, thoughtful, freedom. Yeah, all of these are valid feelings that are coming up for reasons. Belonging.
The thing that's interesting to me about this work, I'm constantly learning myself and I'm constantly connecting disparate dots. And there's a strength that happens the more you connect, the more you stay in this conversation.
You have to stay in the conversation. You have to be in it again and again. I know we want to get there. I want to be done. We want to get there. We have the life serves us up things that staying in this conversation is the antidote to.
This is the Art of Recovery. These are the classes that we'll be offering starting next weekend. Wow, is it really next weekend? It is. 5/31 is the beginning of the course. The classes here are what we talked about in here. These are some of the classes that are associated with these different domains. So to be clear, we're not offering you a bunch of, this is a very thought out process. There are actually 4 classes for each of the 3 phases that we consider to be a part of the recovery process. And the first 4, walking back the cat, the highly sensitive person, breaking free from black and white thinking, and words matter, and master reframing is all designed to help you get to the basis for the basics of the practical aspects of food dysfunction in relation to recovery. And then we get into the messy middle. Mind versus authentic self, first steps. Willpower, understanding your resources. Understanding fear, worry, and anxiety, the emotional aspects, really important about understanding the difference between emotions and feelings. Fascinating. Breaking free from thought suppression. And then the final phase, awakening. The nervous system's role, attachment versus authenticity, healing the split. Attachment theory is a fascinating aspect of this. Sustainable recovery practices, and the integration, your unique recovery path. These are all aspects. And the interesting part is it's not necessarily first step, second step, third step. We are all, depending on what we're talking about, because this is so complicated, We are all in all the phases at some point or another. This is the logistics of how the class will work. We've got 6 weeks for the first 4 classes. So there will be 4 classes and 2 coaching on the weeks that we don't have class. There will be one-on-one options for you with either Patricia or myself. There's 3 of them. And there's also the connection with the magic, where the magic happens community, which I can tell you has been pivotal for me. I know it's been pivotal for Patricia. It's a place where we can connect on a regular basis. There's 3 meetings a day, Monday through Friday. And those are designed for 30 minutes only, just to connect, can talk about literally anything. A lot of people bring their questions about the course
You don't have to go to all of them.
No, God, no. Nope, not at all. You could pick one a week. You could pick one call a day. And you can also listen to all the recordings. They're all recorded. So this course starts next week. It's 19 or 20 weeks, depending on how you look at it, but 12 modules live and recorded, regular coaching calls with all of us as a group, and then 3 private one-on-ones with either coach. Very action-oriented, active learning. You cannot change your neural pathways, turn down the volume on things unless you're practicing. Both science and spiritual support. I have always glommed onto the scientific aspects. Patricia has studied deeply on the spiritual side of things. We have guided visualizations and access to a library of masterclasses, as well as online and in an app. Right now, it's still in the beta testing with the iPhone only, but I'm hoping that the Android will come online very shortly. I'm expecting it any day. There is a one-time payment of $3.99 or a payment alternatives at checkout if you want to spread it out over some more time. If you have attended the Art of Recovery before, there's a coupon code. Please message me. We believe very strongly in gifting those who find this conversation so important. We have several people who have registered again already.
And watching them deepen with each course is so gratifying and so encouraging for me personally as a teacher and as a coach. And it just keeps on going. It keeps on deepening. And I love what Cecily says here about she's so ready to be in conversation about recovery. That's more than food components and abstinence or line breaking. Yes, it's how often do we hear it's not about the food? It's not about oh yeah, it's not about the food. This is what it is about. Learning to be able to get to our own inner wisdom when we're having issues.
I put the link to sign up in the chat thread. We both believe, Patricia and I believe, that this gift of these 3 master classes is very important. And we honor your attendance here. And we honor if you're listening to the recording. We're really appreciative of that because our message is important. I am extremely passionate about what I have learned over this lifetime. And it's my life's work to share, as is Patricia. I'm speaking for you, but I know that you're in agreement there. This is an opportunity for you to go really deep and as deep as you need to, as deep as you can.
Yeah.
There's a whole section that we have about being on your growing edge. There were several people who put in words of, I don't know, I don't want to label it negative or positive, but things like fear and other things that came up for you as a vegetable soup moment. Those are beautiful opportunities, beautiful opportunities. It's a gift to recognize that you have that. And my hope is that you know that we're going to explore it with you. You will not be alone. That's an interesting concept because there are people that just, yeah, but you're not here with me. Yeah, but you're not here at the loneliness at nighttime. No.
Understand what I have to go through.
We can be in presence with you. It just depends on your perspective. Because every one of us understands the debilitating effects of fear. Everybody understands that. And that in itself, that trusted connection makes all the difference. and not just understanding the concept of alarmed aloneness. I don't even need to give you a definition. Alarmed aloneness, you feel it. I know you flashed back on some situation where you were in, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I feel so alone right now. Nobody around me understands what's going on in my head. Nobody understands the problems I'm having right now. But we do. We get it. And the compassion associated with that is what can help turn down the volume of that fear. We're not supposed to. There's a great book by Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. Not that book. Big Magic. There's a book, there's an aspect of that she talks about through the whole book. The underlying theme is fear. And she basically learned to embrace her fear, not as something she needs to be afraid of, no pun intended, to push away. But that fear is designed to be her companion, to be the thing that points out the thing that's behind her that maybe she's not aware of. And then she gets to decide if it's worthy of attention. She gets to decide if that is worth her time. She gets to decide. Can you put fear in the passenger seat and say to them, you don't get access to the map and you don't get access to the radio? I get to decide what's on the channel and I get to decide where we're going. But you're welcome to tell me. You're welcome to give me advice. You're welcome to talk to me.
Thank you for keeping me protected by not having me be able to step out before, because I was so scared when I was a little one. But now I'm starting to take the driver's seat, and I appreciate all that you've done for me. Can you just like maybe scoot over and watch how this will happen?
Because fear has kept you safe, but it doesn't need to be sucking up half your day and your energy. It can be a beautiful guidepost and a beautiful friend, as is all the guilt and shame and judgment. Those can be put into the garden to nourish our vegetables.
Yeah.
Any questions from anyone?
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for participating so beautifully in this. This is rich. And this is all about our garden, our inner garden, and making better dirt and getting better dirt that's able to actually grow our new vegetables, and raking over and being able so that the seeds can grow. We can't just throw seeds over poor soil. We have to enrich the soil so that the seeds that we put in can grow,
We
fertilize.
all really in fertilizer, right? Yeah, we all know what's required as a circle of life.
And pass this, you may certainly pass this recording on. You don't have to ask people to join, but just pass it on for somebody who might be interested, might not, doesn't matter. Let it go. It's not about bringing other people in, but there's people really hungering for this information.
I don't even know what time is it. It's almost time. If there's anyone that has taken the course before and has something to say or would like to share their experience at this point, thanks, Barbara. Take care. Cheryl says, oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Christine.
Yeah, I just will say what I think I've said before. In virtually a lifetime of dealing with this issue of food, going to it for all the non-functional reasons, I guess I've been dealing with this 60 years and trying lots of things. I say without reservation that the Art of Recovery course was a singular experience, different from anything I had ever tried to do before, and has had incredidible impact on my life. I'm very grateful, and I never want to be outside this circle.
And you
Thank
can't hear it. And I just know for myself, every time I have a master class, every time I do a class, I'm learning more.
you.
I'm getting better. I feel like I'm getting better.
Mhm.
able to find the right words, because that's the trick. But how do we do it? Yeah, I know, but how do I do it? So finding the words. And I just see it happening for everybody, including myself. And in the conversation. I can't ever leave the conversation. It's my work. It's not my work because I'm teaching this. It's my work for who I am as a being, for my own beingness.
Yeah, Daryl.
Ditto, ditto. And I, I love the fact that you referred several times to layering like dahlias. It just happens to be one of my all-time favorite flowers. But I understand and in some ways can identify with that level of layering. And I think I'm able to do that in part, perhaps in a rather significant part, due to having been in this conversation at least on one previous occasion. And that's so encouraging to me. And it is so uplifting that I find it less challenging to overcome the fear of joining in the conversation, which is a rather big thing for me because fear was what I was brought into this world. That was the condition. That was survival to me. And for 70 plus years, I've lived there and I am finally beginning to understand that I don't have to hold that fear as something that is essential to my survival. So I want to say thank you to you both, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'm 81 and I'm still learning and deepening. If anyone, it's a trigger for me when somebody says something's too late because, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. And I now have reframed the urges that I get occasionally. I'm telling you right now, the noise is way down. It's more like a little gnat and a mosquito. It's more like a gnat. But there are occasionally times when it's really big. I wrote about it a few weeks ago about face planting at a Walgreens. It was crazy. It was crazy to me how
About face planting, meaning you fell on your face.
I did literally fall on my face, but I've normally used face. It's funny because I've used face planting for almost a decade now as an expression of overeating, right? I literally face planted a few weeks ago and it was fascinating to me. Instead of feeling like something had happened to me, poor me, here it is again. Oh my gosh, I thought I was done with this. Instead of feeling that way, it was exciting and energizing. Okay, in a sick and twisted way. I didn't feel very good after the fall, but I did learn so much. And think about being able to reframe a situation where you felt like you could not stop yourself. Think about reframing that and using it as a beautiful opportunity. It's a gift. It's a bright neon light and an opportunity for you to look deeper. Yeah. So excited. Yeah, go ahead, Kel.
I was just going to say, I haven't signed up yet, but I am going to. And I've taken all of the Art of Recovery courses, and I plan to take this one too, because I learned something new and different in every single one. And even if I don't, it's worth repeating because I'm one of those people that I just like to hear it over and over because I get something new each time. And between this and the Art of Recovery, and I've had like really like anxiety and panic attacks and stuff that just take over. I used to couldn't even speak on here without my voice shaking and all that. And learning to not necessarily get rid of it, but just learn to control it, learn to stop and breathe and ride the waves and realize that. And also, I don't know if Lori's still on here, but I noticed we have the same shirt on. So I wanted to tell her I like her shirt. And I noticed it on there. I was like, ah, cool shirt. Anyways, but learning to not jump and dive into the food to cover my feelings, by working through that, I learned to work through my anxiety as well because I was trying to get rid of the anxiety with food. And then I never learned to deal with the anxiety because I was just covering up it with food. So by working, it wasn't about the food, it was about the anxiety that I was trying to hide. Yeah, working through all of that together helped me get, I walked into surgery 3 weeks ago with no anxiety meds, nothing, just walked right in and talking to the people. And I actually enjoyed the whole experience and got to look around the room and see the robot that was going to help do the surgery and talk to the people, and had a great conversation with the nurses and it was amazing. And it was because of Patricia and Sonia and the work that I put in and the work in the magic group that I've been in for a while. Yeah. If you guys can do the group and be there, it's so worth it.
Kelly, thank you. I've walked with you even longer than these 5 years in the magic. You and I have known each other since the very early days of our own food journey, this last iteration, if you will. You and I have known each other for a very long time, and the excitement and enthusiasm that you had for this walking into the surgery, it's like night and day. It's the direct example of you paying attention and doing the work and whittling away and turning down the noise, lowering the volume of the chaos around you, and recognizing the anxiety for what it is. You are a highly sensitive person, my friend. You can tell that Lori and you have the same shirt. You are paying attention. She noticed that there's a green tint here on my face from all the green that I have around me. Kelly pays attention, and those are some of the superpowers that you have, but also some of the reasons that you numbed yourself with food for so long.
And
When we connect those dots, sorry.
I was just going to say, those of you that are coming from bigger numbers, I've also lost at one point I'd lost 150 pounds. So I've put some of that back on and trying to find my spot where my body's comfortable. But yeah, just
Wonderful.
Yeah, finding a place where your body's comfortable as opposed to, I have to get to the
That certain number, man.
quantity that we have.
yeah,
Can I
somewhere
ask a
where
very
it's
quick
sustainable.
technical question?
Yeah, sure.
So I have a Mac computer, but I have an Android phone. And I'm just wondering, I heard you say that the Android, a lot of this is not accessible by Android. My concern is,
No, there's an app that I've got, but everything is available online on any computer.
okay, so even like participating in those 3 times a day. So
Yeah.
if I'm working or something, I will be able to access from my phone. I don't have to get to a computer.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, I misunderstood that. Thank you. I just want to make sure.
That's the weird nuance of this whole business. So there's an app that I've added that will help people access from their phone the course content.
Oh, I see, the content of the course. Okay, as opposed to being interactive, which I can do by following the link and blah, blah, blah from my phone or whatever. Okay, because it's all cloud-based.
Everything
Okay,
is yes,
fantastic.
everything is all on Zoom, and the course content is available online as well. There's access that you'll get as soon as you sign up. You'll get access to the course content. There's already three masterclasses Patricia and I shot years ago now. I guess it's 2 years ago now, on Connection 101, Resonance 101, and Noticing 101. Those three are there already for you to watch should you choose. And then there's also the 2 masterclasses that have come up already, along with some additional documents that we didn't hand out. Those are also available online once you sign up for the course.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Absolutely. The app is designed for 2 things. It's designed, and it was added as an additional component because I really wanted to make sure people were able to access the content, but also of the course, but also for the community connection. Some people don't like Facebook. Some people prefer to have this directly on, and it's new. So I'm still working on the logistics of it all, but I'm assuming the Android function on the phone will come in the next week or 2. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I was going to say really quick, you said on the magic, we have the 3 calls a day and that people could pick 1 a day or 1 a week. And you giggled about being on there 3 times a day, but there are some of us that are on there 3 times a day because we like that support. So don't feel bad if you want to get on there 3 times a day, you can, because some of us show up 3 times a day.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I do. It's after 5 years, it'll be 5 years in June that I started Where the Magic Happens. And that whole community I still love it. Occasionally, I get up at 4:30 for the first call. I'm on the Pacific.
That's Pacific time.
Yeah, I'm on Pacific.
Somebody asked what the times are.
Yeah, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Eastern is 7:30. The second call is at 7:30 a.m. Pacific. And the third call is at 4 p.m. Pacific. If you want the other, you'll be getting an email, a separate email on where the magic happens when you start and get in a little bit of an understanding of it. There's also a huge library with the Where the Magic. There's a huge library of things that are available online. Yeah, no end of information.
It's a community. Sometimes we're just chatting about our health issues. Sometimes we're getting into kind of coaching type questions and answers, but sometimes we're just chatting.
Yeah, Where the Magic Happens is what I named our membership group. We don't have, I felt like certain types of calls that were structured might be helpful. There are AA meetings for that kind of thing. Was designed to just talk about whatever was coming up for people. There was no advanced planning on my part. It's literally whatever's happening. Sometimes we talk about the weather. Sometimes we talk about the weather and then we get into a really deep discussion about why I can't stand my sister. So there are any number of things that might happen in that call. And it's always an opportunity to ask questions about what's going on in the course or what's happening in your life, or a way for you to express yourself in a way that you maybe don't feel comfortable expressing in the world that you live in, that not everybody understands what's going on in your cartoon brain, like we do. All right.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
Thank you all. Really excited to get to know some of you better and really excited to see many of you back again.
Thank
Love
you,
you all.
ladies.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, Daryl.
Bye.
Tommy. Bye, guys.